Markets around the world are selling off, and this has traders and investors worried and wondering if they should be selling or should they look to buy the dip. The SPY is sitting at 519, selling off, gapping down again this morning and bouncing here after the open. The Qs also same thing, losing the 618 here off our retracement and finding a little bid and a bounce here after the markets open. And we have Bitcoin flash crashing down to $50,000, actually even below that, and is starting to find a bid here. So should we be worried? It is a sea of red today on the markets. You have the Nikkei selling off, sitting at 31,458. So things look very worrisome right now. But I'm going to discuss in today's video whether we should be panicking yet or should we be looking to buy the dip. We'll discuss stocks, commodities, and crypto. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to see more. All right, guys, let's get into it. We had the VIX spiking above 60. So that is unusual. Of course, we started to see this a couple days ago that the VIX started to begin spiking up, and we know that volatility generally increases going into these elections. So that's something to keep in mind. What else do we have? We have the yield curve. Uh, Looks like it potentially uninverted just briefly. Currently sitting at 1.028. So just remember that typically we don't see a recession until the yield curve uninverts, generally about 6 to 12 months later. So it's still, we could still have time for further upside here in the markets. This bull run could continue for the next 6 to 12 months potentially. Um, so that is something to keep in mind. And we also have um, people calling for emergency rate cuts now. Right now, there's a lot of people wondering, are we going to see an emergency rate cut? Well, some people were calling for 75 basis points as a emergency cut and another 75 in September. But a lot of people tend to think that may even freak out the markets more. So we'll have to watch and see very closely what happens here. You do not see things like this very often in markets. Um, Another chart we can look at is the semiconductors. SMH sitting at 213, also selling off here further. And I think this is probably the most important chart, or one of the most important charts that we should keep an eye on, because if semis can't hold these levels, well, you could see even further panic. And we know that a lot of this bull run has been driven by the semiconductors and the Mag 7. NVIDIA also selling off and finding a bounce this morning, coming down to $90. So this is a very interesting level here for NVIDIA. Will it hold? Well, we will have to see. We really need to determine uh, as investors and traders if we can hold some of these key levels. We did have this gap here, so that did get filled, which looks good. We thought NVIDIA may lose this $100 level and come down and close that gap, and it looks like that is what it has done. We have the RSIs coming back down towards the bottom side. So we may see some buying here potentially over the next coming days and weeks. We need to see how the price action reacts at these levels first. So should we be worried? Well, yes and no. So gold is remaining elevated, been attempting to put in new all-time highs here in the last couple of weeks, sitting at 2,400. We still have price targets for gold up to 26 to $3,000 over the next coming several months and possibly years. So that's something to keep an eye on. And another thing we can take a look at is copper. Dr. Copper, a sign of the health of the economy, and it has really been sold off here over the past several months. It's looking like it's starting to find some structure here around this $4 level. This is at a 618 if you pull a fib on this move. And so if copper can find a turn here, well, that may be a good sign that the markets could continue going higher. Another chart, the financial sectors XLF setting at 41.17, coming down into our box here. Really, as long as the financial sector continues to hold up, well, then it looks like this bull run could continue. But we need to keep an eye on financials to see what happens in the financial markets. That will probably really determine if this is going to be a true recession. Right now, banks are lending. Of course, rates are higher. If we start to get rate cuts, well, that could even be better for the banks. And so they are continuing to lend. Of course, we all know that how this ends, and it doesn't end well, but I still think that we may have possibly another 6 to 12 months, maybe a little bit longer to go in this bull run. If you're interested in buying stocks, commodities, or crypto, you can do so over on Robinhood. Right now, Robinhood offers a 1% boost plus 8 times the national savings rate, and they allow you to begin investing and building your portfolio with just as little as $1. They allow you to buy stocks, options, ETFs, and trade commission free. If you're interested, there is a link down below. It is an affiliate link, so I do appreciate it. What I will say here about the markets is typically whenever we see these very quick moves, a lot of times a few days later, these dips can be bought. And so we may see that things do rebound. Maybe some news comes out that is positive for the markets. There are several macro factors right now that is causing this, from everything from inflation to the possibility of war, the elections. So there's a lot of factors going on right now, and I do think that the next couple of days will be very critical to see which way these markets wants to go. Um, so that will be critical to keep an eye on. And uh, also, don't forget, you can always make money in an up or down market. So that is something that is possible, and you can buy some of these ETFs that short the market. So that is a good way to also hedge against losses. All right, guys, let's get into what is going on with Bitcoin and crypto. Well, we see Bitcoin is selling off, finding a little bounce here. And really, what's critical to keep an eye on is the broader stock markets, including things such as the yield curve. So that's something to keep an eye on. But remember, crypto is very volatile. So whenever you do see these sell-offs on the S&P that we have had, we'll just take a measurement here. Um, this sell-off isn't out of the norm for corrections, sitting right around 10%. So that is a pretty healthy correction for the markets, and that is not out of the norm. Like I said, that tends to happen every so often, and it might be just what we needed to get these overheated markets cooled off and um, reset here going into 2025. So Bitcoin coming down, we had this target here of around $50,000 on this chart. Um, this was a pretty fast wick. We do have the RSIs down at the bottom side on the chart. This is the 12-hour chart. But if we zoom out here on the daily, you can see here that we are currently still above these previous wick lows here. So we could start to see things turn here. Maybe some news comes out. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But this was a very quick and aggressive sell-off. And if we just take a measurement on there, this was about 30%. We haven't seen a 30% correction on Bitcoin this cycle. Most of them have been around the 20-22% range. Um, this is more typical of crypto to have these bigger sell-offs or volatility, spikes in volatility. So that is something to keep in mind. And Tom from FX Evolution posted this over here that he's hearing rumors about the emergency Fed meeting today to discuss rate cuts. And this is a great meme here. Crypto people will like this. People that like risk on assets. We all know the money printer is coming. So that is going to happen eventually. I do believe we will start to see the Fed intervene here as they cut rates and look at ways to support the economy in the background, support the bonds markets, and support uh, the really the global markets. Central banks around the world all know that the risk here is very big, and eventually they do something that changes the policy and will probably help support the markets. We have Ethereum also selling off down to 2130, coming down right here to this line, and again in our box. Of course, it's a wick down here, back up to 2455. I think this is an absolutely great place to get into Ethereum here. If the markets can hold these levels, I would say that I would look for the markets to find some support. And if we do start basing off, well, I think these are absolutely great levels to be buying here. Also have the total three, so this is everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Also wicking down and coming down into our box here. Um, so the altcoins are really getting hammered right now. Um, there is just so much fear and uncertainty in these markets. However, you do have the dollar falling and losing this wedge formation we had here on the dollar. We suspected this may break down, sitting at 102.75. And we know that if the dollar does start falling, i.e., money printing, that a lot of these other assets will go up as the dollar falls. It's generally good for the stock market and it is good for crypto. So if we do continue to see a weakness in the dollar, which a lot of people do suspect is coming, then it is likely that we will start to see some of these other assets do better. All right, guys, don't forget to go follow me over on X at Mind of Financier. I am Mind of the Financier on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and I post anything that I see that has to do with stock markets, commodities, and crypto. Also, don't forget if you want to become a better investor and trader, um, you should get some sort of tools such as TradingView. And TradingView, I've been using it for about a year now, and it has really stepped up my trading game. And it allows you to get a lot of different information about different markets around the world, um, because it is important to keep an eye on what is happening in other areas to understand how that may affect markets here in the U.S. Um, as well as stocks, commodities, and crypto. They've got all kinds of tools, and right now you can join and get a free trial with them. So if that's something you're interested in, there is also a link down below. All right, guys, it is Monday. It is wild out there. So we will just have to kind of wait and see what happens here moving forward. I think we will probably know a lot more here just in a couple of days. There are some dark pool transactions that appear to be taking place, so maybe Wall Street is buying these dips. That will be interesting to find out to see if they are going to uh, continue buying and supporting these markets or if things will get worse here. I will say that typically these sell offs that happen very fast generally do make a fairly quick recovery. Um, but what will really be important here is to see if we do start to see some bounces, if we can go back and make new all-time highs. Again, we'll have to watch the semiconductors, see what happens there, as well as what the Fed decides to do. All right, guys. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Until next time, take care, be legendary, and peace out.